that I am live. So as we are going to just test it out to be sure, especially on the count that the feed isn't working in itself, we are just going to see. I feel like it is though because it's showing up on my side. So let's see if it is. Haha. All right, you guys. So the live feed is working. How are you guys doing today? What's going on? Welcome back. Welcome back. So for those of you guys who don't know, we are all about reinventing ourselves in the season and really just allowing God to just really bust a move essentially right on our behalf. I just want to say hey to everybody. What's going on? The camera wasn't working. So you guys are getting a little face of me in the meantime. And I just want to come on here and just say what's going on, see how you guys are doing, how you guys, what y'all were up to, and just say hey. But not only that, I also want to highlight one thing you guys could be doing differently today. It's a brand new month. It's the month of November. I know we're in the final 60 days, right, as we're getting ready to kick off into 2026. And for so many people, it can be the last hurrah. For other people, it's this great, lock in that everybody's been doing lately. But I also want you guys to take time to really allow yourselves room to grow in the process of it and not allowing past experiences to hinder you from going forward. Last night, we did a live video regarding that part and really just helping everybody to hone in on their experiences as leverage versus seeing it as a situation that is now tied into your identity. One of the biggest things that we can allow ourselves to get caught up in our cycles. And I feel like this is a season where God is really allowing us to break the cycles, to break the generational areas where things have been caught up and spin. Especially if you're someone who feel like you've been on this hamster wheel of emotion, right? Not really allowing yourself room to really just grow and really just allowing yourself to be caught up in the words or even in the lies that other people have spoken about you. I just believe this is a season where you're going to be able to feel renewed and really begin walking differently. But there's pieces to that, right? Yes, there's definitely interpretations that can tie to it, but you also have to begin assessing what is for you first and foremost, and not allowing hindrances, roadblocks, what people have said negatively, right? Negativity even to get in the way of that. One of the things that I highlighted was the fact of my journey of motherhood. And it was the first time that I became a mom with my first daughter in specific. And it was highlighting the fact that once I found out the results that I was pregnant, my mindset shifted from being a woman who was just a girl, who was just a young lady, to being like, oh my goodness, I'm now a mom, right? There's now a different level of responsibility that comes to pass, right? There's a different level of discipline that I also have to adhere to because I'm no longer just caring about myself, but I'm caring about those that I'm connected to. And I wanted to be able to highlight that part as well because I do feel like that makes a big difference in the ways in which we are able to handle ourselves and how we acclimate the new identity, right? Or the new roles in which we take part in. And I want to bring that part to you guys as a reference point here because the same thing is said with you. When you think about your own promises that God has given you, when you think about the identity that He's called you to, when you think about the revelations, right, that He's giving you about who you are, and then you look in the mirror and you're kind of like, God, I hear what you're saying, but you're kind of almost questioning, but is this true? Or is this really me? Or are you sure you've called me to such a thing, right? Or even like, are you sure this is the right time? And the answer to all of those is yes. If he said it, then it's true. If he's calling you to it, then the time is now. And even if you don't see it like just yet fully formed out, it's because he's developing you in it in order for you to be able to steward the version of you that you're called to. Think about the concept, right, with our kids. If I sit there and tell my daughter, I want to give you $10 to go to the store and grab some things, I may not do that when she's 5. But at 5 years old, I may give her $1 or $2 or $3 for her to begin to understand the value of money. And then as she gets older, as I begin to trust her with it, as I can see how she can steward it, and as I see that she's able to learn to do the math on her own, well, not like on her own, but like on her own, right? Then I can send her and do these things. So even in that, there's a developmental process that has to take place. And just like we do it with our children when they're learning, we do the same thing for us as well, especially when it comes to encompassing the roles of the identity that we're called to, that is already ingrained inside of us. And all we're doing in part is uncovering the experiences that may try to put like a blanket essentially, right? Or even like a veil, so to speak, on top of us. And I feel like God is so good that He is like, I'm uncovering what was once hidden, right? I'm I'm undoing the things that once tried to ravel you, or even the things that try to rattle you in a sense. I think about triggers, right? There are things that people get triggered by, whether they're words, whether they're people, whether they're, situations or whatever the case is. I believe that in the midst of us being able to uncover our identities, we are also able to heal. We're also able to be restored. We're also able to get into this place where God is like, I'm doing a new thing, right? And we keep hearing this, but he really is. And this is coming from Isaiah 43:18 through 19. And in part, this is because Jeremiah 1:5 tells us that he knew you before you was ever formed in your mother's womb. Therefore, he already ordained and called thee a prophet, right? That's when he was speaking to Jeremiah. But you have to understand the concept that if God is saying, I already know you, I already knew who you were supposed to be before, you got up, caught up in that situation, before, that bad thing or whatever happened to you. He already knew those pieces. And he's so good that not only does he know about them, but there's times in our lives where we see that God gets in the middle of those situations for us. There's times where he pulls us out of it. And then there's times where he helps us to heal through it and all of it. And I think that when we can change our perspectives, we begin to see things from a different angle. You ever try looking at life through the lens of what the media talks about from watching the news all day long? If I was to sit all day long, and I don't watch the news. Anyone who knows me knows I don't watch it. But if I was, right, then you can definitely hear all the craziness that takes place, right? All the negativity that is spewed in it. And I'm not saying that there isn't good shows that are like mentioned on there or good experiences that are also talked about, but I'm stating that there is a fear factor, an element, right, that is being displayed through it. And because of that, people then walk in that perspective. So when they look out at the world, they look at it from that angle based on a set of pretenses, or in this case, subject titles, right, that they've given off to the greater audience. But when we begin to look at the word, when we begin to assess who we are in the word, and how the word is able not just to be something that we hear, but something that we truly begin to apply to our daily lives, we move differently. We speak differently. We begin to sound the alarm to others because we need them to also begin to believe in his word and not the truth, or quote unquote the verbiage of what the media is speaking. There's so much truth that is going to be, in a sense, I don't want to say the truth is going to be diluted, but I do believe that the noise of the world gets so loud that God's truth can sometimes seem hard to hear, not because it's not in existence, but because of where our attention is, because of what we are allowing to settle in our hearts and our spirit. And I believe that that's also coming with the fine tuning that God does with us. So when you're in this season of reinventing yourself, it's not just the words, oh, I'm reinventing me and that's it, like new me, new you, and done. But there's work to be done. There's habits to be changed. There's movement to be made. And that movement requires you letting go of excuses. It means letting go of rejection, letting go of the hurt. It means allowing yourself to submit to the Lord in full and allowing Him to truly encompass in you a new version of you that you can then begin to walk out as. And also understanding that it may not happen overnight. Now, it can. I believe so because God can do anything. But at the end of the day, I know that for some stuff, we have to process through it. Now, that processing is going to look different from everybody. You may not have all the odds and ins and outs, right? That other people have that they have to get through. Praise God, right? But you may have some stuff still that you have to get through. It doesn't mean that your situation is any better or any worse than someone else's, but it means that there's something about what God wants to do with you that requires a different level of experience, maybe, or maybe it simply requires a different level of unlearning, right? A lot of things that we walk out as adults have to do from the things that we learned as a child. But if you Okay. So what they say, if once as a child you used to think as a child, but now that you're a man or now that you're an adult, you think as an adult. We have to learn that at some point in our journey that we have to put down the childish things and we have to begin to do. We have to begin to adhere. We have to begin to truly listen. We have to begin to be in alignment with what God is asking of each of us. Listen, myself included, I'm not excluded from this or excluded from this, excuse me, but understanding that as you move, as you go, as you stretch, as you get uncomfortable in the season, because it's going to get uncomfortable, a lot of things are going to begin to shift, and you're going to have to know when to move, when to pivot, and when to transfer into another lane and when to do the things that God is calling you into. Because you can start in one lane because that's where it felt like you were needed in, but God may be calling you to do a transfer because there could be something else that He's calling you to, and you're gonna have to begin to align to Him to walk boldly in the new. Transfers are needed in this season, and we're gonna have to be able to transition with the Lord in the midst of it. So I am gonna let you guys off because I gotta go to work literally like now. But I do want to go ahead and just allow this to be a moment where you determine what move are you going to make next? How do you plan to make this next move? And are you going to sit around and continue to make the excuses of your experiences and all the roadblocks you had in the past? Or are you going to submit those things to the Lord and allow Him to be the one that directs your steps moving forward? That's my question to you. By the way, I'm Jessica M. Harris. I'm your favorite empowerment coach, podcast host, author, speaker, mom to three amazing kids, and truly so much more. And I look forward to seeing you guys glow up in this experience. Bye for now and have an amazing day.